Ferris wheel sparkles, the yreka takeover, Midway HQ reborn. Building construction chapter 1, the decision to stay. After the 100-year return to yreka, the fair had never felt so alive. Crowds had tripled, families lined up before sunrise. The music, the lights, the joy, it was like destiny calling them back. One evening, as the sun set behind the Northern California hills, Old Grin gathered the original crew in the center of the fairgrounds. They stood in a circle, surrounded by the glowing Ferris wheel, the scent of churros in the air. "What if," he said, "we never left?" Silence, then smiles, then cheers. The decision was made. The Midway of Fun Fair HQ would be rebuilt, not in Belgium, not in the past, but right here in yreka. Articulated Lorry Chapter 2, the Great Relocation. Back in Antwerp, the Montevideo Warehouse HQ stood one last time as the team began packing everything for the journey. Vintage DJ decks, blueprint archives of classic rides, carnival wagons, props, games, and food machines. The enchanted sign, Midway HQ, where the world comes to smile. Every bolt, every light string, every clown shoe was loaded into massive trucks and shipped to the US. Others arrived in airships and cargo drones. The streets of yreka trembled as the convoys rolled in. Locals waved flags, kids cheered. Even the mayor cried when the golden carousel horses were lifted into place. Brick Chapter 3, building the new HQ. On the eastern edge of town, near the old fairgrounds, construction began. The new Midway HQ yreka was built to honor the past, but designed for the future. A ride lab, where inventors could create new attractions. A sound dome, where DJs like world-trained apprentices. A memory hall, lined with photos and relics from 100 years of magic. A rooftop garden shaped like a tilt-a-whirl. And towering above it all, a glass dome with the glowing Fun Fair emblem spinning slowly in the sky. The HQ wasn't just a building. It was a beacon. Circus Tent Chapter 4, a new era begins. Once construction was complete, the crew held an emotional ribbon-cutting ceremony. Old Grin stood at the front, surrounded by his original team and the new generation of workers. "We've moved more than equipment," he said. "We've moved our hearts. This is home now." Inside, the halls buzzed with life. Designers sketched out new rides. Engineers tested floating roller coasters. Lizzie taught interns how to repair cotton candy machines. DJ Whirl spun remixes of old fair songs with new beats. Yreka wasn't just a stop anymore. It was the capital of fun. Rainbow Chapter 5, the first season from HQ yreka. The Midway Fair kicked off its first season with the biggest show in history. New rides like the Nebula Twister and the Mega Loop Drop debuted to record-breaking crowds. Celebrities, travelers, and carnival lovers from all over the world came. The Midway HQ ran everything smoothly, from ride operations to surprise street shows to late-night laser parades. And at the heart of it all, yreka beamed with pride. The town that once hosted the miracle now lived in the miracle. Crystal Ball Epilogue, home at last. Years later, a new sign was placed at the gates of HQ. Midway HQ, yreka, built from memories, powered by joy. Old Grin sat in his office, looking out over the fairgrounds. The laughter of children echoed through the air. The ride spun, the music soared, and he whispered, "We're not just back, that we're where we were always meant to be." Globe showing Europe, Africa, Ferris wheel Part 4. The world comes to yreka. A long story of unity, travel, and the global rise of the Midway HQ. Airplane departure. Chapter 1. The dream grows bigger. It had been 2 years since the Midway of Fun Fair HQ opened its doors in yreka. The fair was thriving. Visitors traveled from across the country to ride glowing coasters, taste legendary funnel cakes, and dance at DJ Whirl's nightly Skyfire sets. But something bigger was brewing. Old Grin, now seated in his bright new HQ office, lined with yreka newspaper clippings and golden ticket stubs, looked out over the international mail piling up on his desk. Letters, emails, even video messages came pouring in from Tokyo, "Bring your magic here." Rio, "Our children want the Midway." Paris, "We will clear the square. Make it happen." Kenya, Iceland, South Korea, Australia. Old Grin stood, cracked his back, and smiled. "Well then, let's take the show global." Globe with Meridians Chapter 2, Operation. Midway International. The HQ's great globe in the central hall lit up. Crew members pinned destinations. Engineers prepared mobile ride blueprints. A new wing of HQ opened, the Travel Corps. They chose their first locations. 1. Cairo, Egypt, the desert glow. 3. Barcelona, Spain, lights of the plaza. 4. Bangkok, Thailand, Neon River Fest. 5. Toronto, Canada, midway in the snow. Trucks and containers began rolling. Ferris wheels were designed to fold into jet capsules. The DJ towers could now rise in just 12 hours. Every piece of equipment was marked with a red and gold stamp. Property of Midway HQ, Yreka, California. Party Popper Chapter 3, the global tour begins. Sydney welcomed them with a coastal backdrop. Crowds screamed as the midnight loop launched over the harbor. DJ Whirl played his famous Sunrise mix on Bondi Beach, the sky pulsing with laser clouds. In Cairo, rides were built near the pyramids, approved and honored by the local cultural board. The fair blended with local music, flavors, and art. Camels wore Midway scarves. Barcelona's festival spilled into the plazas, with street dancers fusing flamenco with fairground choreography. The Mirror Maze became a portal of reflections and flamenco guitar. Every stop was filmed, celebrated, broadcast on international media, and every time, it ended with a voiceover from Old Grin. From Yreka to the world, wherever joy is needed, the Midway will ride. Package Chapter 4, the return to HQ. After 5 countries in 5 months, the crew returned to Yreka. The HQ held a celebration called Welcome Home, Ride Edition. All the flags from the countries they'd visited now hung from the rafters of the HQ lobby. Old Grin sat down at a glowing table with his crew, Big Mike, Loopy Lizzie, Popcorn Joe, DJ Whirl, Speedy Carla. They looked around, full of pride. "We're not just local anymore," Whirl said. "We're not even national," said Lizzie. "We're everywhere," said Joe. "But we're always home," Grin smiled. "Right here in Yreka." Crystal Ball Epilogue, a new generation. Later that night, as the team rested, a group of new recruits, young engineers and DJs from the international tour, walked the HQ halls in awe. One whispered, "What if we took it to the moon next?" A glowing sign lit up above them, shining from the HQ's ceiling. Midway of Fun Fair HQ, built in Yreka, belongs to the world. And with that, the fair's legacy continued, across lands, across generations, and maybe across galaxies next. Articulated Lorry Ferris Wheel Part 5, Back to the Depot, Reloading for the Future. Construction Chapter 1, Closing the Gates. After months of taking the Midway of Fun Fair across the globe, from Sydney to Cairo, Barcelona to Bangkok, the crew was exhausted, but buzzing with momentum. They returned to Yreka HQ to roaring cheers, welcome banners, and hometown pride. The town lit up for a week-long celebration called the Ride Comes Home Festival. But deep down, Old Grin and the crew knew they weren't done. "We made magic around the world," he said. "But now we need to build bigger, faster, stronger. We're headed to Sacramento." Eyes lit up. The crew knew what that meant. Time to reload. Delivery Truck Chapter 2, the convoy rolls again. At sunrise, the HQ gates in Yreka closed temporarily. A new sign was posted. The Midway rides again, gone gathering. Dozens of trucks lined up outside. Flatbeds, haulers, sound vans, and food trucks. The crew climbed into their rigs, wearing their signature red and gold Midway jackets. DJ Whirl secured his new LED turntables in foam crates. Popcorn Joe checked his flavor tanks. Lizzie packed her ride schematics and welding gear. The convoy roared to life and pulled out of town, horns echoing through the hills of Northern California as they headed southbound towards Sacramento. Factory Chapter 3, the Sacramento Stash. Sacramento had always been the secret depot of the Midway. Decades ago, before the HQ moved to Yreka, they'd stored hundreds of unused rides, classic fair booths, lighting rigs, and backup DJ equipment in massive warehouses near the riverfront. As the convoy arrived, the gates opened to reveal a dusty wonderland of forgotten Midway treasures. Tilt-a-whirls still glowing faintly in standby mode. Giant animatronic lions from a lost safari-themed fair. Old-school DJ sets from the 1990s, retro but still full of punch. giant spinning rides never before tested in public. And in the back of the final warehouse, covered in tarps, stood Project Echo, a mysterious ride rumored to be the biggest they ever designed, but never dared to build until now. Old Grin stood in silence. We bring it all, even Echo. Wrench Chapter 4. Restoring, upgrading, rebuilding. The crew got to work fast. Lizzie welded together parts from 3 rides to make a new one called the Sky Twister. DJ Whirl rigged classic decks with AI beat sync tech to create the Echo sound system. Popcorn Joe discovered a forgotten flavor cannon and rebuilt it into the Snack Blaster 9000. Local Sacramento workers joined in, inspired by the Midway's return. It became a full-blown revival project, with old-timers sharing stories and young designers contributing futuristic tech. Within 2 weeks, the convoy was loaded with twice as many rides, 5 times the sound, and a brand new fleet of Midway mobile trucks designed for rapid setup in any country or planet. Microphone Chapter 5. The Message. Before leaving Sacramento, the team held a secret test show for the warehouse workers and their families. Kids screamed joyfully on the test rides. DJ Whirl debuted a new track titled Reloaded. At the end of the show, a glowing drone flew high above the trucks and projected a message into the clouds. Midway of Fun Fair. We're not just back, we're loaded. Next stop. The crowd cheered. The lights faded. The convoy rolled out once again, headed back to Yreka, ready to relaunch something legendary. Stop sign epilogue. The HQ awaits. Back in Yreka, the HQ glowed quietly. Inside, monitors lit up one by one, tracking the convoy's return. Interns polished the entry gates. The roof banner was replaced with a new one. Welcome home, Midway Legends. Let's begin again. And in the control room, Old Grin placed a sticky note on the big HQ planning board that IT said only. Ferris Wheel Crown Part 7. The Royal Call. Sunrise over mountains. Yreka Midway HQ. The final sunset. The sky over Yreka turned gold and rose as the sun dipped behind the Siskiyou Mountains. A gentle silence fell over the fairgrounds, a silence not heard in weeks. Where once the air had been filled with thundering bass, wild laughter, and the spinning sounds of rides soaring through the sky, now there was only the wind blowing dust through the Midway. Inside HQ, Old Grin sat at the long wooden table with the crew. Lizzie, DJ Whirl, Popcorn Joe, Skylar the Ride Queen, and Big Frank the Mechanic. They were reviewing fuel logs and tightening final bolts for shipment. Then came the knock. A single knock on the steel front gate. Everyone turned. Big Frank peeked through the side window. Boss? You may want to see this. Incoming envelope, a royal messenger. Standing at the gate in full British dress uniform was a royal messenger holding a scroll sealed with red wax and the royal crest. Behind him stood 2 soldiers and a royal jeep draped in the Union Jack. Old Grin stepped outside and took the scroll, cracking the seal with his knife. He read aloud to the crew. _ From Her Majesty Queen Alexandra. The Midway of Fun Fair has captured the hearts of the world. We formally invite your crew to host the grandest fair and DJ event ever held on the grounds of Buckingham Palace. Your rides, your lights, your music, your magic. London awaits you. Sincerely, the Royal Court of the United Kingdom. _ Silence. Popcorn Joe dropped his bag of kettle corn. Lizzie blinked. Wait, the Queen wants us at the palace? DJ Whirl smirked, turning up the bass on his phone. Lock up the gates. We're going royal. Memo the gate note. As the trucks were loaded and the generators powered down, Lizzie walked up to the gate with a wooden sign in her hand. With a black marker, she wrote, Note on the gate, Yreka Midway HQ. We've gone global. Off to answer the Queen's call. This fair may sleep for now, but the Midway spirit rides forever. See you soon. The crew, and scribbled below in DJ Whirl's messy handwriting. Keep the music alive. Speaker high volume headphone. They hung it with rusty chains and locked the gates tight. The final truck rolled out just as the first star twinkled above the darkening sky. Articulated lorry convoy to the coast. The convoy trucks, 18-wheelers hauling Skybeast components, mega DJ stage pieces, food carts, light tunnels, and ride control booths, rumbled through the night, heading to the port of Oakland. There, custom cargo ships waited, along with 3 private jets for the crew. As they stood at the dock, Lizzie looked back toward the east. You ever think we'd make it out of yreka? Old Grin chuckled. We never left, we're just taking the spirit with us. Bridge at night. Across the Atlantic, into the kingdom. 1 week later, the convoy crossed into central London, escorted by royal police, camera crews, and cheering fans. At the gates of Buckingham Palace, the Queen herself greeted them on the royal balcony. We've had royal concerts and royal dinners, but never a royal fair. Construction began immediately. The palace gardens became a glowing sea of steel beams, ride structures, control panels, and light cables. Castle building the Royal Midway. The SKYBESD light simulation tunnel was built around the Queen's Maze Garden. The DJ Crown stage rose in front of the palace steps, with giant gold LED panels shaped like royal jewels. The classic Tunnel of Time was reprogrammed to take riders through British history, complete with 3D holograms of royal knights and flying steam trains. The Queen's Guard even practiced with LED rifles and drum beats for a light show intro. Party Popper, the grandest fair ever thrown. For 7 straight nights, London partied like never before. Crowds flooded into palace grounds. Royal families danced alongside street artists. World leaders spun in bumper cars. British rappers, K-pop idols, and European DJs joined DJ Whirl on stage. Fireworks exploded behind the palace dome. Even the Queen's corgis wore LED collars and rode the Tiny Tails train ride. 12 o'clock. But then the signal. On the final night, just as DJ Whirl finished his royal remix of Rule Britannia, the jumbo screen glitched. The entire palace dimmed for 3 seconds. A black and purple logo appeared on screen with static text. Nexacoil HQ // Void Fair active. _ While you partied with royalty, you left the West vulnerable. We've entered yreka. You have 14 days to return, or lose everything. _ gasps filled the palace courtyard. Old Grin's jaw tightened. Lizzie froze. DJ Whirl dropped his headphones. Popcorn Joe whispered, "They went home." The Queen raised her teacup and nodded firmly. Then return and protect what you built. The world needs your fair, now more than ever. The crew races back across the ocean.
Circus Tent Globe Showing Europe Africa Part 9. The Red Square Revolution, Russia's biggest fair ever. Party Popper yreka sends us off in glory. Before the convoy even started its engines, the entire town of Yreka lined the streets. From Main Street to the gates of the Midway of Fun HQ, banners flew high. Good luck, Midway heroes. Show the world what yreka can do. To Russia with rides and rhythm. Kids in face paint, school marching bands, food trucks, and drone cameras filled the roads. The mayor of Yreka gave the crew an official city key and shouted, "Make history, again, we'll be watching." As the Midway convoy of over 300 custom trucks began to roll out, confetti exploded in the air. The streets shook as they carried the world's biggest fair rides, massive DJ towers, light cannons, and gear fit for a kingdom. DJ Neon Nova stood atop the lead truck, playing a farewell set as they turned east toward Moscow. Articulated lorry en route to Russia, a rolling legend. The journey became a global story. News media followed the trucks across states, into Europe, and through frozen forests and plains. Fans gathered with signs in every city. Social media dubbed it a hashtag the Midway Miracle, hashtag Rolling Thunder Fair, hashtag From Yreka to Red Square. Russian Russia welcomes the Midway. As the convoy reached Russia, a fleet of helicopters and black military vehicles met them at the border. Out stepped the President of Russia, flanked by his elite bodyguards. He looked each of the crew members in the eye and declared, "You are not guests. You are legends. We will guard you. Moscow awaits." Snowflake Hash building a frozen dream in Red Square. In the center of Moscow, the Midway of Fun Fair built what the world never imagined. The Kremlin coaster looped over ice-lit bridges. DJ towers wrapped in snow lasers pulsed above the crowd. Snow Bumper Z Rink hosted battles under floating firework drones. A Ferris wheel spun above St. Basil's Cathedral. Every night for 10 days, over 2 million people danced, cheered, and celebrated under the cold skies, warmed by music, light, and joy. Shield Hash Presidential Protection. During the closing ceremony, the President of Russia returned, this time in a ceremonial robe. With his full security force surrounding the fair, he stepped onto the DJ tower and announced, "This fair will be protected. My bodyguards will guard your HQ in Yreka, and the rest, they will travel with you on your next journey." He raised his hand. The bodyguards saluted and dispersed. Half remained to protect the HQ, half joined the crew. Memo final steps. Before they left Red Square, Lizzie, the ride lead, walked to the heart of the fairgrounds, took out her marker, and taped a note to the last ride loaded. This was more than a fair. It was a bridge between worlds. We'll return someday, louder, brighter, and stronger. The Midway crew. Then the crew locked the final crate, closed the steel doors, and gave the final signal. Lock back to Yreka, HQ now under global guard. As the trucks crossed back into Yreka, they were met with silence and then thunder. The entire city of Yreka had lined up again, this time with Russian flags alongside American flags and special guards stationed at the HQ entrance. The gates opened slowly. The HQ lit up again, bigger and stronger, now internationally guarded, globally respected, and forever legendary. Checkered flag end of Part 9. The Red Square Revolution, Russia's biggest fair ever. Fireworks sparkler coming in Part 10. A new message arrives. From space from Mars. They want the next fair in orbit.
Part 10. The reinforcements roll in. After days of celebration, upgrades, and surprise visits from royalty and celebrities, the crew gathered for one final meeting under the glowing lights of the Midway of Fun HQ. You stood before the command platform and made an announcement. We've built something incredible here in Yreka, but it's not done. Not yet. We need more people. It's time to head back to Sacramento. Let's bring everyone home. And just like that, the mission expanded. The convoy grows. Before the sun rose, the original convoy was already halfway to Sacramento. This time, it wasn't just trucks and fair gear. This time, you brought an army of trailers, open air, shuttles, bunk units, DJ towers, and mobile stage platforms. Riding with them were old-school carnival workers and ride engineers who hadn't seen the fairgrounds in decades. New blood, local Sacramento artists, food vendors, and street performers. Your family and closest friends, wide-eyed and excited, ready to become part of history. Just as the convoy reached the Sacramento HQ, military helicopters flew overhead. The door opened. A general stepped out, saluted you, and said, full support, logistics, security, transportation. Whatever you need, you have it. From that moment on, your crew had military escorts, Humvees, tactical trucks, armored transports, and even mobile power units for the rides. The Sacramento HQ, once quiet, exploded with movement. Forklifts moved, crates of steel coaster parts. Soldiers helped load massive cables, power grids, and hydraulic lift systems. You gave one order: leave no ride behind. Every single piece, every tool, every screw. It goes with us. By the end of the third day, the new mega convoy was complete. 200 vehicles, over 1,000 workers, dozens of military support units, fresh DJ sets, sound systems, upgraded LED walls, high-tech fair rides, including 2 top-secret rides from an experimental lab. Families rode on flatbeds, waving flags. Drones followed overhead, broadcasting every move across social media. People all over the world watched. Yreka were coming back. Back to yreka. Midnight arrival. The return convoy rolled into yreka, Your security team opened the gates wide. The ground rumbled. The HQ roared with power. And from the rooftops of Midway HQ, a giant banner unfurled. Welcome home. Warriors of fun. You stood at the top of the main tower, surrounded by your crew, family, and soldiers. Spotlights lit up the desert sky. Fireworks launched. Music thundered, and someone whispered, You smiled, eyes on the horizon, because you knew. As Via Lidley was away, and the world wasn't ready for what yreka's Midway of Fun was about to do next.